All right, the rivalry, I think among rivalries for top-tier programs here in Northwest Ohio, Whitmer at Central Catholic. Both teams 1-0, not an unfounded thing going into week 2, two 1-0 teams. But when this matchup carries a lot of weight amongst D1, D3 teams, any team in the state of Ohio, Whitmer taking on Central Catholic.
Yeah, not only a big game in Toledo, a big game in the state of Ohio, tons of playoff points. Both coaching staffs know that both teams are going to win a lot of games after this game, so it makes it all the more important for the victor to get those big-time playoff points by coming out on top. And Whitmer looked solid against Dublin-Coffman, but in talking to their coaching staff, 42-14 final score, not indicative of how the game was played out. Whitmer's defense made a lot of stops when Dublin-Coffman had driven inside the red zone, but the defense, give them credit, they made those stops, but Dublin-Coffman's offense did move the ball efficiently up until those final 5, 10, 15, 20 yards. But this one, in many cases, comes down to who's going to be more aggressive and who's going to execute. And then a key little factoid that Coach Ken Winters told me is special teams. In games like this and rivalry matchups, every little detail matters. And in the last few years, Central Catholic has returned a long kickoff return, returned another one for a touchdown, and then Whitmer had 2 punts blocked by Central Catholic over those past 2 seasons, and those are difference makers in the game, and especially if they happen early in the game, a little deflating for the team, and you can't dig out of that hole, especially against a talented Central Catholic team who enters this game riding a 32-game winning streak. Special teams could be a major factor on both sides, no matter which team you're talking about.
100%. That special teams play last year really flipped that thing into a 28-0 deficit really early, and it's incredibly hard and darn near impossible when a team of Central Catholic's caliber to climb out of a 28-0 hole. But for Central last week, those new players we talked about, Isaiah Fox, the running game with Anthony Sylvester and Tyler Morgan, they stepped in and they performed against what is a good team in Findlay, even without Ryan Montgomery.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Central Catholic is a program, you know, and I think that's the difference between a lot of teams.
They don't rebuild, they reload.
And that was Whitmer's model, you know, and this year Whitmer has reloaded. Let's just take it to the Whitmer side really quick. We know what Central Catholic is about. Whitmer now with the open enrollment, they have essentially entered the world of the transfer portal, and they have some of the best players that's coming out the City League, other school districts, all on this team right here. There is no excuse why the Whitmer Panthers should not make this a competitive game or a one-score game, and it should not ever come to the point where you look at that roster, you look at Danielle Nix on that left tackle, 6'5", 300 pounds dang near. Cooper Bringman, nearly 300 pounds, 6'3". Kyler Koopman, up there, 6'5", almost 300 pounds, junior. You know, and then you look at the number 1 tackle in the country. Carter Lowe. You got one of the biggest offensive lines. You got 3 running backs that can run, and you got a lot of experience, including the quarterback. This is a team that should be very competitive, and if it's not competitive from that standpoint of getting first downs, being able to score against that Central Catholic defense, you got to remember there's one Victor Singleton on that defense. That's a Power 5 number 1 corner in the country. There's not a lot of
untested.
A lot of guys that still don't have Division I offers who may get them at some point in time. They're really good.
Right.
But if you're looking at talent, pound for pound,
this is the year.
This is the year that Whitmer should be able to get this thing done. And we shouldn't see the scores that we've seen over the past years based on talent. And if it doesn't come to that, it's, in my opinion, it's a coaching situation. It's a coaching thing because, you know, you can't let your team with this much talent find a way to not get there unless it's just poor execution.
All right, you've heard our points. We want to know who you think is going to win. Head over to our Twitter page for our Game of the Week poll that closes out Friday at noon.